I finished reading I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi this week, and today we're going to go over his main points. So regardless of whatever else we talk about today, the 3 things that you need to remember is to live on less than what you make, automatically invest 10 to 15% of your income into a Roth IRA, and then enjoy the rest of your money. Okay, so a little bit about the author, Ramit. He went to Stanford and he was studying engineering and he liked it. But as he thought more about his life, he realized he did not want to work a 9 to 5 and just be in a cubicle forever. He wanted to be able to take lunches off. He wanted to be able to travel and enjoy the money that he was making and not just wait until he retires to be able to travel and to have nice things, which is understandable, right? He began posting on his blog, iwillteachyoutoberich.com. And as his following grew, he eventually released a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And then from there, he kind of exploded and he has tons of different products now. Most recently, he just had a Netflix show called How to Get Rich. And that's actually how my wife and I found out about him. But it's a lot of great content that I feel like applies really well to us as college students and as the younger generation, because it's not nearly as perhaps hardcore as someone like Dave Ramsey is. It's a lot more practical and a lot more fun. One of his big emphases is on actually using the money for fun things. So that's buying that $1,000 sweater. That's going on those vacations. Whatever it is, he wants you to be spending that money. The difference between you now and you after reading this book is that you can still spend the money. You're just prioritizing saving first, and then you get to spend the rest of your money on whatever you want. The first thing Ramit talks about is having a conscientious spending plan. These are broken up into 4 things: your budget, your investments, your transportation, and then your guilt-free spending. So after prioritizing those investments, the car, and your home, then everything else you can just spend on whatever. So yes, you'll need to buy food, you'll probably need to buy clothes, but you get to choose whether you're going out, whether you're buying expensive clothes and then eating rice and beans. You get to decide exactly how you spend the rest of that money. The point here is that you're prioritizing your future self and your security, and then you are also prioritizing your own enjoyment. It's all about living your rich life now. So whatever you have, you can be living your rich life as you prioritize the things that you really care about and then cut away the things that you don't. So for me, I really like technology. I really like looking at Apple stuff. So I definitely prioritize buying new computers or new phones. And I don't care nearly as much about traveling or eating out at really expensive restaurants. I do like Chick-fil-A though. Fun fact, the average American between the ages 25 to 30 has only $4,000 in savings. So if you're thinking, oh wow, that's a lot, then this is a good chance to start saving, and you'll be surprised how quickly it can build up. And if you're thinking, oh wow, that's not a lot, you're right, because if you only have $4,000 now, you're not going to be able to retire nearly as comfortably as you would like to. So keep your rent at about 25% of your take-home pay. And what this does is it keeps the rest of your money available for spending on things that you really care about. And since a lot of you are in school, just take a look at the average amount of money you're going to bring in. For me, this would be, I work a lot in the summer and then I take like $1,000 a month out of my savings. So then I would take 25% of that and say, okay, 250 is for housing. Now, you're not going to find housing for 250, so do the best you can, but try to keep that number as low as of a percentage as possible of what you're actually using each month. Okay, so the next thing he talked about was investing. And you might be apprehensive, or you might be stressed, or you might be excited. It's all great. I personally really like investing and reading about all the articles, but a lot of people don't. So before you get anywhere near investing, you need to pay off all your credit cards. Most of them, they're charging anywhere from like 15 to 30% interest, which is very difficult to achieve in the stock market. Actually, I might even say impossible, or at least consistently over, 30 or 40 years. So your priority there is just pay off all those credit cards. You do not want any credit card debt because it's the most expensive thing that you can be paying on. Once all the credit cards are gone, then you can look at opening a Roth IRA or beginning to invest. So once you don't have any credit card debt, go to fidelity.com and then open a Roth IRA account. It takes about 10 minutes. They'll just ask you for your personal information, your social security number, and then I think you can just start with like $50. No, and just so you know, I'm not getting paid at all for this. I just personally use Fidelity. I really like it. The fees are pretty low, and it's very clear what you're supposed to be doing while you're on there. So a stock is a piece of a company. So when I buy a stock of Apple or a share, then I own 1 trillionth of an apple of Apple. So when you buy stocks, you're just buying a little piece of these big companies or small companies, whatever you want. The problem with investing in those stocks is they can be very volatile, just moving up and down, which is why we have things like ETFs and index funds. And what index funds do is they take Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, and then 400 other companies, put them all together, and then you buy that fund. And then it distributes it across. So maybe it's like 1% Apple, 0.8% Microsoft, 0.7% Netflix, and so on and so forth. And that reduces your risk and then also helps your money be much more stable. So I recommend, and Ramit recommends, that you just invest in index funds. Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, just says that he would put 90% of his money into an S&P 500 index fund and then 10% into bonds. And a bond is like buying a stock in the government. So it tends to be much more stable because the government does not change or do anything too drastic. So once you put your money into an index fund, just set up a recurring investment from your checking account so that you can get that 10 to 15% in there every month. And the reason Ramit suggests using that 10% is that you really need to have some funds moving towards that account to build up any significant compounding over time. But if you only have $10 a month, start with that $10 a month. It's more important to start building that habit now so that when you make more money, you can magnify the amount you're putting in there. Maybe it's only $10 a month now, but 3 or 4 years from now, after you graduate, maybe you'll be able to put in $500 a month or $1,000 a month. And that will dramatically increase the rate of growth. One of my favorite things that Ramit talks about is how important it is to get 85% of the way there. A lot of these steps, so you open your Roth IRA and you're just putting $10 a month into it. That's going to get you 85% of the way there because most people are just too scared or too anxious to actually open any of these accounts, and then they never invest anything. And that's the absolute worst thing to do. So just open the account and just start funding it a little bit at a time. And as you do that, then you'll be able to take advantage of all of the growth available. So don't rob your potential. Do the 85%. And then as you learn more and if you get more interested, then you can do that last 15% and try and optimize your stocks a little bit more. But if you get that index fund and you just roll with it, you're going to be just fine. You're paying your rent each month. It's less than 25% of what you make. You're putting money towards your investments. Now all you have to worry about is your transportation and your food. So this is up to you, but Ramit suggests having a low car payment. He buys his cars in cash. I know that's hard for us now because we're all still in school and don't have a ton of money. So if you can keep that to 10, 15% of your monthly income, then that would be ideal. And I just want to make a note here that if you are a student, it is not worth working while trying to go to school, or at least working full time. Yes, work a little bit. I've been working 10 to 15 hours a week for the last 3 years and I've been fine. But I do not suggest trying to go full-time school and full-time work at the same time. Because one, you're not going to be able to put as much effort and focus into your schoolwork. Yes, you do need the money, and yes, it's good to avoid debt as much as you can. But the point of school is to learn. So don't waste the opportunity to learn because you need the money now. Anyway, so if you're a student, avoid working during the semester as much as you can, and then just work really hard during the summers. Another thing that Ramit talks about is that every money, just put that money away towards your investments and then put it away towards your goals. If you are able to be paying your home, your car, your food, and invest every month, you're already rich. You might not feel rich, but you have the habits of someone that's going to be rich. And you're set up for long-term success. So as you keep doing those things, then all you have to worry about is putting more money into that system. So the worst thing that you can be doing right now is not having any idea where your money is going. If you want to buy that $2,000 Gucci romper, then you can go for it. Ramit just wants you to know that that's what you're spending the money on. So think about your past month and then think about where all of your money went. Sometimes it can be really hard to remember. You're like, I know I paid rent. I know I paid for my car. I know I did my cell phone bill. But where did that other $400 go? Like, did I really eat out 10 times? Maybe. I like to use a software called Mint by Intuit, the same guys who make like TurboTax. And it's nice because it'll plug into all of your credit cards and then it can track all these expenses. So I made a budget in there and then it'll just track where all the money is going. And remember, automation is your friend. There's a reason you don't set a new alarm every night. You just can put it on your phone, set the schedule, and then it'll just go. And the reason is that sometimes you forget and sometimes it's too hard. So if you set up an automation for your investments, then you're just going to be constantly siphoning money over there every month. You don't have to worry about whether it's happening. And you also won't even notice that it's gone. If you just set up the automation now, then you won't even notice that 10-15% of your paycheck is leaving. And then 40 years from now, you'll have a couple $1 million in there and then you can just retire happy in that. And the other big emphasis that Ramit has is that money is supposed to be spent. There's no point in just accumulating a bunch of money with no purpose. So spend your money. After you make those investments, then decide what you really care about. What do you really want to spend your money on? Whether that be travel, whether that be really expensive clothes. I know for me, I would love to buy an $8,000 Omega Moon watch, which is the watch that Neil Armstrong wore while he was walking on the moon. And this thing is gravity proof, shock proof, ice proof, all the proofs. Very cool. But most people probably don't care at all about having a really cool watch like that. And that's something I would want. So that's definitely on my 10-20 year plan for my rich life. So think about the things that you really want, the things that you really care about, and that are worth saving for, investing for. So this is a great book. There's plenty to talk about. I would highly recommend you go and read it. Big takeaways, once again, is to invest 10-15% of your income. Keep your housing about 25% or below of your monthly take-home pay. And then enjoy the rest of your money. Plan for it, but enjoy it. And I realize that this is all very hard as a student, so do the best you can. But you should still set up some kind of automation to get into those habits now. Stay effective. Leave me a like on your way out, and then I'll leave you a link right here for another video to watch. Have a good one.